The door slammed in my face like a gunshot. The echo traveled down the quiet street, carrying with it every hope I ever held. Octavia's voice cut through the wood, sharp as broken glass. "You'll never see them again. Not Aurelia. Not Lucien. Not anyone." I stood there frozen, clutching the silver photo frame against my chest. Inside it, my grandchildren smiled back at me, Aurelia with her missing front tooth, Lucien with paint on his nose. That photo was taken at my house, before everything changed. Before my son chose her over me. My heart splintered into 1,000 pieces right there on that porch. This wasn't just rejection. This was erasure. Octavia didn't just want me gone from their lives. She wanted me forgotten, buried, erased like I never existed at all. I could hear small footsteps inside. Aurelia's voice called out, "Was that Grandma?" Then silence. Then Octavia's sharp whisper, too low for me to catch the words but loud enough to hear the venom. I walked away from that door knowing something fundamental had broken. She didn't just take my family. She took my future. Time became a thief after that day. It stole moments I should have lived. Birthdays passed without candles to blow out. Christmas mornings without watching them tear open presents. School plays where I should have been in the front row, cheering louder than anyone else. I watched from the shadows as Octavia built her empire. Social media showed me everything I was missing. Glittering parties with champagne towers. Magazine covers featuring her perfect family, my son Percival looking proud, the children growing taller in every photo. Her life was polished to blinding perfection. Meanwhile, I became the ghost she buried alive. My phone stayed silent. My mailbox is empty except for bills. The house that once rang with family laughter now echoed with nothing but my footsteps and memories. I tried reaching out at first. Birthday cards returned unopened. Gifts left on their doorstep disappeared without acknowledgement. I called until my son finally answered once, his voice cold, "Mom, you need to respect Octavia's boundaries. This is her family now. Her family. Not ours. Hers." That's when I knew. The woman who married my son had won. She had everything I loved, and I had nothing but this hollow ache that wouldn't heal. The spark came on a Tuesday afternoon at a cafe I rarely visited. Gideon slid into the seat across from me without invitation. We'd been friends for 30 years, since college, when we were young and believed we could change the world. "Thora," he said quietly, "you look like hell." I didn't argue. The mirror told me the same truth every morning. He placed a thick folder on the table between us. Manila. Unmarked. Heavy with secrets. "What's this?" I asked. "Insurance," he replied. "You want her empire to burn? This is the match." My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were documents I shouldn't have been able to access. Bank statements showing offshore accounts. Forged signatures on business contracts. And there, near the bottom, a mugshot, Octavia, 15 years younger, glaring at the camera. Arrested for fraud in another state. A past she'd buried deeper than my memories of happy family dinners. "Are you sure about this?" I whispered. Gideon's smile was sharp enough to cut. "Burn her world, Thora. Or let her keep yours." I looked at those documents, at the proof of who she really was. At the lies she'd built her perfect life upon. "Where did you get this?" I asked. Does it matter? It didn't. What mattered was the power now sitting in my trembling hands. For 3 days, I stared at that folder. I opened it and closed it 100 times. Each time, the weight of what I was about to do pressed heavier on my chest. This wasn't just about revenge. At least, that's what I told myself in the mirror each morning. This was about justice. About truth. About showing my son who he'd really married. But late at night, when I couldn't sleep, I knew the truth. Part of me wanted to watch her perfect world crumble the way mine had. Part of me wanted her to feel the pain of losing everything. I sealed the evidence in a thick envelope. Documents, bank statements, the mugshot, all of it. I wrote addresses on the front, not to Octavia, but to the magazine that featured her last month. To the charity board she chaired. To the business partners who trusted her. As I walked to the mailbox, my breath caught in my throat. My hand hovered over the slot. This isn't revenge, I whispered to the empty street. It's justice. But justice has teeth. Sharp ones. And they were about to bite down hard on everything Octavia had built. Once I dropped this envelope, there would be no taking it back. I let go. The envelope slid into darkness. And I walked home wondering if I'd just destroyed her, or myself. The whispers started like smoke creeping under a door. Slow at first, then everywhere. I heard them at the grocery store, in the coffee shop where people didn't know I was listening. Did you see Octavia's Instagram? All her posts vanished. She stepped down from the charity board. No explanation. Someone said she canceled the gala. Just completely canceled it. I watched from behind my phone screen as her digital empire crumbled. Photos disappeared. Comment sections filled with questions. Friends stopped tagging her. Her smile and recent photos looked brittle, like glass about to shatter into 1,000 pieces. The magazine pulled her feature article. The business partnership she'd been building dissolved overnight. People who once called her a visionary started calling her other things. Whispers became rumors. Rumors became accusations. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt hollow. Yes, I'd lit the match. But watching everything burn felt different from what I'd imagined. It felt like standing in the wreckage of something, even if that something had been built on lies. Still, I waited. Because this wasn't over. This was just the beginning. The real confrontation was coming. The moment when Octavia would know that I did this. That I took her perfect world and set it on fire. And I waited for that moment like a patient hunter. My phone buzzed on a Thursday morning. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Grandma? I froze. That voice. Sweet and small and achingly familiar. Grandma, it's me. It's Aurelia. My hand shook so hard I nearly dropped the phone. Aurelia? How did you get this number? Does your mother know you're calling? I found it in Daddy's old phone. The one he keeps in his desk drawer. Mom says you're dangerous. That you'd hurt us if we talked to you. But I don't believe her anymore. Tears blurred my vision. My granddaughter, the child Octavia swore I'd never see again, was reaching out across the wall that had been built between us. Sweetheart, I would never hurt you. Never. I know, she said quietly. Mom lies about a lot of things, Grandma. I'm starting to see that now. What do you mean? She said you didn't want to see us. That you moved away and didn't care. But then I found birthday cards in the trash. Unopened ones. With your handwriting on them. My chest tightened. All those cards I'd sent, thinking they'd been refused. They'd been thrown away before the children ever saw them. Aurelia, I've tried so hard to reach you. I know, Grandma. And I want to help you. I don't care what Mom says anymore. Hope flickered in my chest for the first time in years. Grandma, Mom has a secret. A big one. I think she's scared you'll tell someone. I sat forward, gripping the phone tighter. What kind of secret, sweetheart? There was a long pause. I heard her breathing, nervous and quick. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. She has another phone. A secret one. She hides it in the closet behind her shoe boxes. I found it one night when I was looking for my Halloween costume. Another phone? Yeah. She talks to someone on it late at night. After Daddy goes to sleep. She thinks we can't hear, but the walls are thin. She talks about money and moving things around and making sure nobody finds out about something. I don't understand all of it, but she sounds scared, Grandma. My blood ran cold. Another phone meant another life. Hidden conversations. Secret dealings. What else was Octavia hiding? Aurelia, does your father know about this phone? I don't think so. She's really careful. And Daddy, he doesn't pay attention like he used to. He's always tired now. Always working. Because Octavia kept him that way, I thought. Controlled. Exhausted. Too worn down to question anything. Sweetheart, you have to be careful. Don't let her catch you looking through her things. I'm always careful, Grandma. I learned that from watching her. Those words cut deeper than anything else. My granddaughter had learned to be sneaky and careful because of the environment Octavia created. That wasn't childhood. That was survival. I called Aurelia again that night, my voice trembling with questions I'd held inside for months. Grandma, Mom tells Lucien that you don't love us. That you're too busy with your own life to care. That's not true. That's never been true. I know. I remember, Grandma. I remember when you used to pick us up from school. I remember the cookies you'd bake with the chocolate chip smiley faces. I remember everything, even though Mom says I'm remembering wrong. My heart broke all over again. Octavia had tried to rewrite even their memories of me. Mom also says you're poor now, Aurelia continued. That if we stayed with you, we'd have to live in a dirty house and eat cheap food. But Grandma. I saw papers in her drawer. Bank statements with your name on them. You're not poor, are you? I paused, choosing my words carefully. No, sweetheart. I'm not poor. She lied. Aurelia's voice shook with fury, a child's pure rage at betrayal. She tells Lucien you abandoned us, but she's the one who pushed you away. She's the one who made Daddy choose. It's complicated, honey. No, it's not. It's simple. She's a liar, Grandma. And I'm done pretending I don't see it. There was steel in her young voice. Determination. Grandma, I want to see you. I'll help you get back into our lives. I don't care what Mom says. Will you come? Come where? To her party. Next Saturday. I'll make sure you can get in. Octavia's party glittered like a shrine to everything fake and beautiful. Crystal chandeliers dripped light across a room full of people wearing expensive lies. Champagne glasses clinked. Laughter echoed off marble floors. Everyone who mattered in her world gathered to celebrate her success. I walked in uninvited, wearing the same plain dress I'd worn the day she slammed the door in my face. No makeup. No jewelry. Just me, raw and real, standing in the doorway of her perfect illusion. The room noticed me in waves. First, the people near the door stopped their conversations, mid-sentence. Then the ripple spread outward. Gasps. Whispers. Hands covering mouths in shock. Octavia stood at the center of it all, holding court like a queen. When she saw me, her smile collapsed. The glass in her hand trembled. Her face went from glowing to ghostly white in seconds. "What are you doing here?" she hissed, closing the distance between us in angry strides. "You weren't invited. You need to leave. Now." "Actually," I said clearly, "I have something everyone needs to see." Percival appeared at her side, confusion written across his face. "Mom? What's going on?" I looked at my son, my boy who'd chosen this woman over me, and felt my heart crack one more time. But I was done breaking in silence. I was done being erased. Tonight, the truth would finally speak louder than her lies. I didn't answer anyone's questions. I simply pulled out the flash drive that Gideon had prepared for me. The small device felt enormous in my palm. It held everything. Every secret. Every lie. Every crime. A server helped me connect it to the large screen they'd been using for photos of Octavia's journey to success. How fitting that the same screen celebrating her would expose her. I pressed play. The room went silent as images filled the screen. First, the mugshot, Octavia, 15 years younger, glaring at the camera with rage. Then came the arrest report. Fraud. Identity theft. A warrant in another state that had somehow disappeared. Next came the bank statements. Offshore accounts under different names. Money flowing in and out in patterns that made no legal sense. Forged signatures on business contracts. Loans taken out using other people's identities, including my son's, without his knowledge. The crowd erupted. Phones came out, flashing as people captured the evidence. Voices rose in shock and anger. Questions flew from every direction. Is this real? Did you know about this? Octavia, what is this? But Octavia just stood frozen, staring at the screen like she was watching her own execution. Because that's exactly what this was. Every piece of her carefully constructed life crumbling in real time. Every lie exposed. Every crime revealed. Her empire wasn't just burning. It was already ash. From the back of the room, a small voice pierced through the chaos. "Mom, is it true?" Everyone turned. Aurelia stood in the doorway, still wearing her pajamas. She must have snuck down after bedtime. Beside her, Lucien held her hand, his eyes wide with confusion. The room fell silent. All eyes moved between the children and Octavia, waiting. Octavia turned to her daughter, her face pale as death. For a moment, I saw something crack in her expression, maybe guilt, maybe fear. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. "Who told you to come down here?" she finally whispered. But Aurelia wasn't backing down. She stepped forward, her small voice steady. "I heard the noise. I wanted to see Grandma. You said she was dangerous, but she doesn't look dangerous. She looks sad." "Go back to bed," Octavia commanded, her voice shaking. "This doesn't concern you." "Yes, it does," Aurelia said, tears streaming down her face. "You lied to us. You said Grandma didn't want to see us. But she's been trying, hasn't she?" All those cards in the trash. All those times you said she was too busy. You lied. Percival looked between his daughter and his wife, realization dawning slowly on his face. Octavia? What is she talking about? But Octavia couldn't answer. The walls were closing in. Her perfect facade had shattered completely, and now even her own children could see the monster behind the mask. The party ended in screams and shattered glass. Guests fled like rats from a sinking ship. Octavia's business partners cornered her, demanding explanations. Her charity board members promised investigations. Everything she'd built collapsed in one catastrophic night. Octavia herself vanished into the crowd, pushing past people as she ran toward the back exit. Percival chased after her, calling her name. But she didn't stop. She just ran. Aurelia stood frozen in the middle of the chaos, tears streaming down her face. I wanted to go to her, to hold her, to tell her everything would be okay. But before I could move, someone pulled her away, a nanny or family friend, I couldn't tell. Then she was gone, disappearing up the stairs. I stood in the wreckage, surrounded by broken glass and fallen champagne bottles, clutching my phone as a single thought burned through my mind. This isn't over. It's just beginning. The truth was out. But the truth is just the first domino. It doesn't rebuild what was broken. It doesn't guarantee justice. And it certainly doesn't promise that the people you love will come back to you. As I walked out into the cold night air, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Grandma, don't trust anyone. Not even me. It was from Aurelia. My blood ran cold as I read it again. And then the message deleted itself, vanishing as if it had never existed. Leaving me standing alone in the dark, wondering what my granddaughter knew that I didn't. By morning, Aurelia was gone. Vanished. No note. No trace. Not in her bedroom. Not anywhere in the house. I only learned this because Octavia called me. Her voice sounded ragged, stripped of all the polish and control she usually wore like armor. They took her. They took my baby. I gripped the phone, my heart hammering. What do you mean, they took her? Who's they? I don't know. Her voice cracked. She was in her bed last night. This morning, she's gone. The window was open. There's no sign of a break-in, but she's gone, Thora. My daughter is gone. For one brief moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. A mother's terror is universal, even when that mother is a monster. Call the police, I said. I can't. What do you mean you can't? Silence. Then, quietly, you don't understand. If I involve the police, people will dig. They'll find things. Things that can't be found. So even now, even with her daughter missing, Octavia was protecting her secrets. That told me everything I needed to know. I'm coming over, I said. No. I'm coming over, Octavia. If you want to find Aurelia, you're going to need me. Because whoever took her knows things. And I think you know exactly what those things are. When I arrived at the mansion, I saw something I'd never seen before, fear. Real, raw terror in Octavia's eyes. The mansion looked different in daylight. Empty. Cold. The party decorations still hung from last night, but now they looked like the remnants of something dead. Balloons deflating. Streamers sagging. The whole place smelled of stale champagne and desperation. Octavia met me at the door. She looked nothing like the polished queen from last night. Her hair was tangled. Her makeup smeared. She wore a robe over pajamas, and her hands wouldn't stop shaking. "Where's Percival?" I asked. "At work. He doesn't know yet. I told him Aurelia was at a friend's house." "You lied to him." Again. She didn't deny it. Just turned and walked deeper into the house, expecting me to follow. I did, because somewhere in this mansion were answers. She led me to her bedroom, to the closet Aurelia had mentioned. Behind the shoe boxes, exactly where my granddaughter said it would be, was the secret phone. Octavia picked it up with trembling hands and unlocked it. The screen showed dozens of messages, all encrypted. Names I didn't recognize. Numbers without area codes. And one word that appeared over and over. Elysium. "What is Elysium?" I demanded. Octavia's face went even paler. "You shouldn't have come here. You shouldn't have gotten involved. They know now. They know I've been exposed, and they think I'm going to talk. So they took the one thing that would guarantee my silence. Your daughter." My daughter. I stared at her, at this woman who had destroyed my family, and felt something shift. We were both mothers. And right now, we both want the same thing. "Tell me everything," I said. "Or I walk out that door, and you never see me again." Octavia sat on the edge of her bed, the secret phone clutched in both hands like a lifeline. Or maybe a weapon. She stared at it for a long time before she finally spoke. "Elysium isn't a company," she began, her voice flat. "It's a circle. A network. People with power and money who help each other stay powerful and rich. They move money around in ways that can't be traced. They make problems disappear. They protect each other from consequences. Like your arrest record disappearing," I said. She nodded. "I was 25 when I got caught running credit card scams. I should have gone to prison. But someone noticed I was smart, resourceful, willing to bend rules. They made me an offer. Join them, work for them, and my record vanishes. My debts disappear. They'd set me up with a new identity, a clean slate." "So you said yes. What would you have done?" "I had nothing. I was facing 5 years in prison. They gave me a way out. But nothing's free, Thora. They owned me after that. Every business deal I made, every connection I built, they had a piece of it. And when I tried to leave..." She trailed off, but I understood. Elysium doesn't let people leave. Once you're in forever. What do they want with Aurelia? Octavia's hands tightened around the phone. Leverage. Or legacy. Maybe both. They recruit young people they can mold and control. And Aurelia, she's smart. Observant. Exactly what they look for. The horror of it sank in. They didn't just take Aurelia to punish Octavia. They took her because they wanted her. I called Gideon. He answered on the second ring, his voice sharp and alert despite the early hour. "Thora. What's wrong?" "Aurelia's missing. And it's connected to something called Elysium." The silence that followed told me everything. He knew. He'd known all along. "Gideon," I said slowly, "what did you get me into?" "You stumbled into something bigger than custody battles," he said finally. "Elysium isn't a company, Thora. It's a cabal. Old money, new money, people who've been pulling strings for decades. Politicians. CEOs. People whose names you'd recognize if I said them out loud. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? Would you have used that evidence if I'd told you that exposing Octavia would paint a target on everyone connected to her? I thought about it. Probably not. I'd been so focused on burning down Octavia's world that I never stopped to think about who else might be standing in the flames. What do they want with Aurelia? I asked. Leverage against Octavia. Or recruitment. They start young with the ones they want to shape. Either way, your granddaughter is caught in something that should never have touched her. Then we get her out. It's not that simple. It is that simple, I snapped. She's a child. My granddaughter. And I don't care who these people are or what they think they can do. I'm getting her back. Gideon sighed. Then you better move fast. Because once Elysium has someone, they rarely let go. My phone lit up that afternoon with a notification. A live video feed. My heart stopped when I realized what I was seeing. Aurelia sat in a small, windowless room. The walls were white. The furniture minimal. She looked calm, which terrified me more than if she'd been crying. Calm meant she'd been coached. Prepared. Told what to say and how to act. Then the voice came, smooth, male, wrapped in silk but carrying poison underneath. You wanted justice, Thora. You wanted to expose the truth. Now earn it back. The camera didn't show the speaker. Just Aurelia, sitting still as a statue. Your granddaughter is quite remarkable, the voice continued. Intelligent. Composed. She'll make an excellent addition to our organization. Unless, of course, you'd prefer to negotiate. What do you want? I shouted at my phone, even though I knew he couldn't hear me. Silence. Complete and total silence. You will recant everything you revealed about Octavia. You will tell the world it was lies, jealousy, a bitter grandmother's revenge. You will destroy your own credibility to protect hers. Do this, and Aurelia goes home. Refuse, and she stays with us. Forever. The screen went black. I stood there shaking, rage and fear warring inside me. They wanted me to lie. To throw away everything I'd worked for, everything I'd exposed, to save Aurelia. But could I really condemn my granddaughter to protect the truth? Could I look her in the eyes someday and explain why I chose justice over her freedom? I couldn't. No matter what it cost me, I couldn't. Octavia and I sat across from each other in her kitchen. Enemies forced into an uneasy alliance. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. They want me to take everything back, I said. To say I lied about you. To destroy my own credibility. Then do it, Octavia said immediately. If that's what it takes to get Aurelia back, just do it. It's not that simple. Even if I recant, who's to say they'll actually return her? They have no reason to keep their word. Octavia's mascara-streaked face crumpled. Then what do we do? How do we get my daughter back? For the first time, I saw past the monster I'd created in my mind. I saw a mother, terrified and desperate, willing to do anything to save her child. Maybe we weren't so different after all. We don't negotiate, I said. We hit them where it hurts. How? You said Elysium protects its own. That means they have secrets too. Files. Evidence. Things they don't want exposed any more than you did. Gideon might be able to help us access them. That's insane. They'll destroy us. They already are destroying us. At least this way, we fight back. Octavia stared at me for a long time. Then, slowly, she reached across the table and handed me a folder I hadn't noticed before. Inside were blueprints, passwords, access codes, and one file marked Project Elysium with Aurelia's name circled in red. "Where did you get this?" I asked. "I've been stealing from them for years," she admitted. "Little by little. Insurance. In case they ever turned on me." I guess that day came. The glass tower stood downtown, sterile and gleaming. Inside, no cameras. No reporters. Just us and them, a tribunal at midnight. We were escorted to a conference room on the 40th floor. No windows. Just walls of black marble and a long table where 5 people sat wearing obsidian masks. Their faces hidden. Their voices altered by technology. They didn't bother with pleasantries. "You've made quite the mess," Thora, the center figure, said. "Exposing Octavia. Creating chaos. Drawing attention where it should never fall." "I wanted the truth," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "The truth." The figure laughed, cold and mechanical. "Truth is whatever we decide it is. And right now, we've decided that you are a problem." They slid a contract across the table. Thick. Legal. Terrifying. "Sign this. Betray Octavia publicly. Admit you fabricated everything. Destroy your own credibility. Do this, and your granddaughter walks free." I looked down at the contract. At the words that would erase everything I'd fought for. At the lies I'd have to tell. At the price of my granddaughter's freedom. My hand shook as I reached for the pen. Then the door opened. And Aurelia walked in. Not as a hostage. Not crying or scared. She walked in like she belonged there, her posture straight, her eyes clear. She'd changed clothes, wearing black now, professional, adult. Her hair pulled back tight. She looked 10 years older than she had 2 days ago. "Grandma," she said softly. "Don't sign it." I stared at my granddaughter, unable to process what I was seeing. This wasn't the child who'd called me crying. This wasn't the girl who'd been taken against her will. "Aurelia? What's happening?" She stepped closer, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Something hard. Calculating. She looked like Octavia in that moment, and it terrified me. "I chose this," she said quietly. "They didn't kidnap me, Grandma. I went willingly." "What? Why?" "Because I'm tired of being powerless. Tired of watching adults lie and manipulate and control everything. Mom lies. Dad ignores. You and Mom fight. Everyone uses everyone. But Elysium, they offered me real power. You're 12 years old." "I'm smart enough to see what this world is," she interrupted. "And I'm smart enough to know that having power is better than being a pawn. They promised me education, training, connections. They promised that by the time I'm 20, I'll be untouchable. That no one will ever control me again." Octavia lunged forward, but the guards held her back. "Aurelia, no. They're lying to you. They'll destroy you. They'll make me unstoppable," Aurelia corrected, her voice ice cold. "Unlike you, who spent your life serving them and getting nothing in return." I looked at the masked figures, understanding flooding through me. They hadn't taken Aurelia to punish Octavia. They'd recruited her. Molded her. Shown her a world where victims become predators, and now she wanted in. Sweetheart, please, I begged. This isn't who you are. You don't know who I am, Grandma. None of you do. Octavia's scream echoed off the marble walls. Raw. Primal. The sound of a mother watching her child fall into an abyss. Aurelia, no. Baby, please. They're manipulating you. They're using your anger against us too. To what? Aurelia cut her off. To give me what you never could? Control over my own life? You controlled everything, Mom. Every friend I made. Every word I said. Every smile I wore. You shaped me into your perfect little doll. But they see me differently. They see what I could become. You're a child. I'm not a child. Aurelia's voice cracked, and for a moment, I saw the scared little girl underneath the hard exterior. I stopped being a child the day you started lying to me about Grandma. The day I realized everyone in my life was fake. At least Elysium is honest about what they are. One of the masked figures spoke. Aurelia has proven herself remarkably adaptable. Intelligent. Ruthless when necessary. Exactly what our organization needs. I looked between my granddaughter and these monsters, understanding the trap they'd laid. They didn't just want to recruit her. They wanted to use her to break us completely. To show us that even our children weren't safe from corruption. And what happens to us? I asked, my voice hollow. Aurelia answered before they could. That depends on you, Grandma. Join us. Help build what we're creating. Or watch everything burn, starting with the family you think you're protecting. The masked figure who'd been silent until now finally spoke. The choice is simple. Sign your loyalty. Or lose everything. The masked figure leaned forward, and I felt the weight of their power pressing down like gravity itself. Join us, Thora. Or watch not just your granddaughter, but everything you value turn to ash. Your reputation. Your home. Your son. We can make problems disappear. We can also make people disappear. Octavia was sobbing now, mascara running down her face in black rivers. Please. Please don't take my daughter. I'll do anything. Anything. You already did everything, the figure replied coldly. And you failed. But Thora. Thora still has value. Fresh blood. Untainted by Octavia's mistakes. Join us, and we'll release Aurelia back to you. Refuse, and she stays with us. Permanently. I looked at my granddaughter. She stood there like a soldier, shoulders back, expression blank. Whatever they'd said to her, whatever they'd promised, it had worked. She believed them. Or she wanted to believe them badly enough that the truth didn't matter. What would you want me to do? I asked. Exactly what Octavia has done for years. Move money. Hide transactions. Use your connections. You're well-liked, Thora. Respected in your community. That's worth more than gold to us. And if I refuse? The figure gestured to Aurelia. Then she becomes one of ours. Completely. We'll educate her, shape her, mold her into something extraordinary. And you'll spend the rest of your life wondering if you could have saved her. It was an impossible choice. Join monsters to save my granddaughter or refuse and lose her forever to their corruption. Octavia grabbed my arm. Please, Thora. Please. I know you hate me. I know I deserve it. But don't let them have her. Please. The masked figure slid a silver dagger across the table. Ornate. Ancient. The blade caught the light like frozen fire. In Elysium, loyalty is sealed in blood, the figure said. Sign the contract. Then take the blade. One cut across your palm. Your blood seals the oath. I stared at that dagger. At the contract. At my granddaughter's face, so carefully blank. At Octavia's tears. At the masked figures who held all our fates in their hidden hands. My hand hovered over the contract. My mind screamed at me to run, to fight, to do anything except surrender to this darkness. But what choice did I have? If I refused, Aurelia stayed here. If I signed, at least she'd come home. And maybe, just maybe, I could find a way to break free later. Thora, don't. Gideon's voice crackled through my phone in my pocket. He must have been listening to the whole time. Once you sign, there's no way out. They'll own you. But they already owned Aurelia. And I couldn't lose her. Not after fighting so hard to get back into her life. I picked up the pen. My hand shook so badly I could barely hold it. The masked figures watched in silence. Octavia held her breath. Aurelia's expression never changed. I signed my name. Thora Castellane. Then I picked up the dagger. The blade was cold. Sharp. I pressed it against my palm and pulled. Blood welled up, bright red against my pale skin. I pressed my bloody palm against the contract, leaving my mark. The masked figures nodded in unison. Welcome to Elysium. The masks removed themselves in perfect synchronization. Faces revealed, but not faces I recognized. Younger than I expected. Professional. Cold. Aurelia, the center figure said, you may go home now. Your grandmother has ensured your freedom. But Aurelia didn't move. She looked at me with those sharp, calculating eyes. Did you really think this was about me, Grandma? What? This was about you. About seeing if you'd break. If you'd compromise everything you claimed to stand for to save one person. And you did. The truth hit me like ice water. This whole thing, the kidnapping, the recruitment, the choice, it was all a test. They wanted to see if I'd fold. And I had. Aurelia. I whispered. I'm not staying with them, she said. I never was. But now I know what you're willing to sacrifice. What you're willing to become. And honestly, Grandma? I'm disappointed. You fought so hard against Mom's lies. But when it mattered, you became just like her. She walked out. Just like that. Leaving me standing there with blood on my hands and shame burning in my chest. Octavia looked at me, her expression unreadable. Welcome to my world, Thora. Where every choice is wrong, and the only question is which sin you're willing to live with. The masked figure stood. The meeting was over. I was one of them now. And the cost of saving my granddaughter was my own soul. I walked out of that glass tower as the sun rose over the city. The world looked different somehow. Sharper. Colder. Or maybe I was the one who'd changed. My phone buzzed. A text from Aurelia. I'm sorry, Grandma. But you needed to understand what Mom lived with. What she became. Now you're part of it too. Maybe together we can break free. Or maybe we'll all drown. I guess we'll find out. Through the glass doors, I saw Percival talking to a man in a dark coat. Both smiling. Both are shaking hands. My son, my boy, was part of this too. Had been all along. And I'd been too blind to see it. Octavia was just the beginning. The test. The initiation. The real war was just starting. And I'd signed up to fight on the wrong side. I looked back at the tower, at the gleaming monument to corruption and power. Somewhere inside, they were already planning their next move. Already calculating how to use me. Already betting on my willingness to do whatever it took to protect my family. They'd won this round. But the game wasn't over. Octavia was just the beginning, I whispered to myself. The real war starts now. I walked toward my car, blood still wet on my palm, contract sealed, soul sold. But my mind was already working. Already planning. Already searching for a way to burn down Elysium from the inside. They thought they owned me. They thought I'd broken. They were wrong. This wasn't surrender. This was infiltration. And I was going to destroy them all.